What's up, guys? Today I have a different Blade and Sorcery video today. It's gonna be more like a guide, and I have a tier list that I'll work on, right? But the thing here is that I'm gonna try to make a guide of the tier 0 weapons in Blade and Sorcery. So first, this is the test of slashing. So the skinning knife is very bad at slashing or using as a slash weapon. It's kind of a different story when you slash in the face, but I'm going to be generally using or damaging their heads and their central mass. Or no, I mean I'm going to be hitting them center mass or their head, just because if I should do limbs as well, then it would be a very long video. I didn't count how many stabs that was, but that was a little too many. Like, that's not effective. So it's very bad on the slashing score, if you could say that. The skinning knife is overall kind of bad, but it's not the worst, and I'm gonna not really go for the realistic numbers like what I actually concluded. So I will say it's definitely between a D and a C tier, but because it's a knife and has great handling, because it's a knife, I'm gonna put it in a C tier. It's definitely a solid weapon, but it's just not good. But if you're quick with stabbing people in the face or slitting their throats, then it's pretty good. You can definitely do with it. Now, next weapon, the Seax. So first of all, the Seax is a pretty balanced weapon, I feel like. And when I say balanced, I don't really mean it in the game way. I mean it's balanced in the way that it's technically a short sword and has very great handling. And you can, if your game isn't modded, then you will find these everywhere, at least when you're fighting bandits. Oh yeah, and it's actually not called a Seax. I found out that it's called, I think it's like Norwegian or something. Okay, but let's see here. This is the stabbing test. No, the slashing test. Shit. As you can see, it's a lot easier to slash, and it does a lot more damage. There's a lot less slashes than before with the knife. But the Seax is called Seax. In that way, I think. Seax. Kind of like a deep O in it or something. Oh yeah, I just keep the video playing now because it's gonna go quicker. But stabbing, if you do shallow stabs, it's gonna do a lot less damage. But if you just do one like deep stab, then they will die, which can be kind of hard when you're in battle. But you can see the difference there. Just completely, like if you stab them in the face, you see, even there at their heart. But if you do it deep enough, then they die. You see, it's like there's a button or a length you have to hit, like right there, then they die. That was somehow a slash to the face, or like a cut, which is very powerful as well. Very different than from the knife, you see? Just 2 slashes to the face, and then they're dead. So that's gonna be a good and a good for the slashing and stabbing. I'm not testing the bludgeoning of this because I think I'm gonna stop doing that with the weapons that actually can't bludgeon. So it's gonna be maybe a little better scores from now on, or not. I don't really know because I haven't really tested. I haven't done it already. This is right after I filmed it that I'm doing this. I did not do any preparation almost. Okay, so the Seax, I'm gonna keep calling it that. It is a very good weapon in my opinion, but it's not super good. It's not the best. So I would probably put it not at a B tier, definitely not S tier, but like, yeah, it can go in the A tier for sure. So this is the Warbrand. I think it has 2 words as its name, but it's definitely a Warbrand. At first, I think I'm testing just the neck slit, and that works well, as you would expect. But it's because I actually threw her, so I would have given her damage, so I just did that. And you can see it's very easy, it's not that hard. And this sword is a 2-hand sword, or, I mean, you can one-handed and two-handed. I think it's called 1.5 sword or something like that. But then here I'm testing the slashing, how good is it at slashing. And definitely the best so far, maybe because of the length. But it was also 3 with the Seax, so I guess it depends on how you look at it. And this is the hacking. If you think of it as you're doing it like actively while fighting, then that would probably be not too bad. But it can hack, and the Seax wasn't too good at that. So this is the stabbing test. Just first with shallow stabs, right? Which is not looking too great. But it's probably because the sword is longer that it is actually worse than the Seax at the shallow stabs. That's my guess. Because it probably has something to do with that. But like before with the Seax, if you just do it like through and through stab, then they die. Same if you stab them in the head. Here, I don't know how that happened, but if you stab just that little bit, then it takes more than 1 stab in the head. So here's, I'm just testing kind of like the 2-hand, and it's a lot better because you can control it that much more, and I think you can also give it more power because you're using both your hands. So I'd say this is probably better than the Seax. But if you think about the fact that it's a little bit long, then I guess it's kind of the same as the Seax, to not overrate it too much, right? I'm gonna try to see how great the blocking is here, or like comparing. And this is also about how great you just are yourself at, you know, blocking. Because even if you have a knife, if you know how to do it and like know the timings and stuff, then it's gonna be easier. But I'm not insanely good at the game, I wouldn't think so. So I think I can say that this is pretty average to what would be right. But again, this is very subjective. And so far, you can still use your offhand most of the time, I'd say, with this sword. So that's definitely also a plus. I'm not the best here, to be honest, but it definitely works in the blocking slash parrying department. So this old Warbrand does not have any negative points basically. So for that, I think I'm gonna kind of have to put it in a S tier. So that's where it's going. Straight to the S tier. First S tier weapon. Still subjective. I personally also like how it looks, but that's just me. There's not much to say about it other than what I've already said. So yeah. So next we have the Beheading Sword, which is my personal favorite in most ways. Not in most ways. I just think it's the best looking, and I kind of like two-handed swords, like two-handed only. But here's kind of funny. I actually ended up one-handing it for a little bit, which was kind of funny. You can actually do that if you hit them in the neck. Then you can easily just do that, and they die. So just don't swing it too hard. And same with that, just like weight, just use the weight of it. So there, the slashing kind of, or hacking, I guess you could say, is okay. But yeah, you can't stab with it because it's blunt on the end, which has a historical reason, which is the fact that it's a beheading sword. That it's not used for combat, only for beheadings. And as you can see, it very well works great in slashing and hacking. And it can't stab at all, so that's kind of bad, but I don't really know if I can count that. And if you just swing quick while you're like maybe against 3 enemies, then it can definitely work. But not too fast, because then it's like the sword clips through them. Which can be a little bit irritating. You can definitely decapitate NPCs with this. I was kind of trying here, but I just couldn't get it done. And this is the blocking, which is the best so far. Probably because it's so big, so it's kind of hard not to block. But you definitely can still get hit, so it's not like you're just unhittable. But I think it was also a little bit like I was kind of lucky with some kind of like combos, with the word I was thinking of. As you can see here, it's pretty good at blocking. So that's seemingly the best and easiest block of these weapons so far. I just gotta see that again, because I kind of like skipped over it. Let's just see this. Back here to the list, we're going to get the Beheading Sword. I mean, if I could choose myself like completely on my own principles, I would say an S tier. But from what I see, it's probably more of an A tier. Straight over to the Rusty Cleaver, testing the slashing, which doesn't work at all. It's seemingly like you probably can do it, but it doesn't happen. It counts as an axe, so it's made for hacking and like getting stuck, I guess you could say. But it's definitely good at being an axe. If you can hit, of course, which I can't. And it's definitely like, I don't know if maybe you could call it hit scan, I don't really know. but it's good when it actually hits. I don't know what it was. Maybe something was wrong with me, but I had some trouble. And then very quickly, for some reason, I just got to the blocking, and I gotta say, I'm kind of surprised. Maybe because it's flat like that and kind of like long. But for what I guessed, it's definitely a lot better. Definitely doesn't work all the time, but it's easier than the knife is. That's for sure, and probably better than the Seax. And then of course, again with the offhand, you can do that because then it for sure like makes them drop the weapon because it hacks into them. It has like a different effect for some reason. Okay, but I think you got the point. So back here, that was a lot quicker than before. But here, the rusty cleaver definitely doesn't get an A tier because it has some problems, and it's small. So I think I'm gonna put it in the C tier as well. And I think for some reason I just can't find it in the store at all when I play Crystal Hunt, compared to finding the Warbrand and the Beheading Sword. I almost never find this. I also find the knife, but I actually don't really find the Seax as much either, now that I think about it. So that's another reason. Like there's a lower chance that you actually get to use this in Crystal Hunt. So here, the felling axe is, which is just like an axe for cutting wood. This is interesting because it's actually pretty great as a blunt weapon if you use the other end, the not sharp end of the axe head, and also if you use it as a stick, it's not too bad either. You can use it very well with the, like if you use it as a bat or something. And it's kind of worse at hacking than the rusty cleaver is. Maybe it's more shallow hitting, doesn't go as deep, but it can decapitate a lot easier than any of the other ones, so I think that's good. This is not right here where you see that, but I think in a little bit I'm gonna be cutting something off. But it works great if they're standing still, and it's kind of harder when they're moving because the area where you have to hit them, like to actually use the sharp part of it, is not so good. And that's kind of why I'm probably giving it a lower tier. You also start with this. It's like you can just grab it right outside your house in Crystal Hunt, and you could probably use it like the first dungeons or two, and it's okay, but it's not the best. I'd go for basically any of the other ones, just not the knife, the skinning knife. I was trying to cut the hand off of this guy, but I definitely cut his head off. That's better than not being able to cut it all. Okay, so I'm back here at the tier list, the list itself, and I didn't showcase it in my first like part where I took the pictures. I don't know why, I guess I forgot. So I did this, and I'm kind of getting closer to the D tier, because I mean it's kind of better than the knife, but at the same time, you know, yeah, no, it's not better than the knife. It's kind of hard to say. Depends on how you look at it, but it can definitely be like a B tier, or a D tier. I think it's very hard to choose right here, because it feels like I have to choose. Like, there's definitely many good things about it, but it doesn't do very well as at being an axe. It's going in D tier. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say, but the blocking with it, if you just hold it like very open, then it's like the Beheading Sword in how good it is at blocking, but that does not help the axe at all, because you can't use it at the same time, because you kind of have to hold it as the way I do it in the video to have the best results. So you can't really swing that and have success because you don't have enough power. But it's great at blocking, but just not great at blocking and using it to kill people, I guess. And just so you don't get confused, I'm not gonna be like checking the bow and arrow rather, but bow and the magic staffs, because I don't really count them as melee weapons. I could, but I'm not going to. And here I gotta remember, what's the name of this? It's not pitchfork. What's it called? Trifork? Could it be that? It's called Hayfork. Different. Almost the same but different. So it's definitely good, because it's kind of the first spear you get, but the fact that it has these 3 stabby things doesn't make it better, and it does make it weird because they look like they're curved a little bit. I mean, they are, but they still work as if they were straight, which is a little bit weird. But it's great at blocking, of course. Just not when your enemy starts stabbing like that. Then it's not great. More because you can't really block that unless you have a shield. But yeah, it's pretty good at blocking otherwise. But then you would either use it as like a weird mix and match between a bludgeon, like a giant mallet or something, but it's sharp. It's kind of weird. It's a very weird weapon to me. I've never used it, so that's definitely why I can't say much. Like, I can't be completely true with it because I haven't used it outside of this little test here. But from what I can see, it's only good at blocking. I mean, it's also good at killing, but it's not ideal at all. And if you turn it the wrong way, as you can see here, it doesn't do any damage. I mean, it probably does some, but you know, it's better to just smack the shit out of someone. And with that, the longest weapon of this tier, I'm pretty sure it's the longest, but the longest weapon of this tier is going lower than the axe. There's just something about it. I think if you know how to use it, it can probably be good. But if you don't, and you probably don't if you're a new player, then just skip it. Here I am again with the next weapon, which is the blacksmith's hammer, which is the small blunt weapon of this tier. It's not very good, but that's only because it's short. If you look away from the fact that it's short, then it's very strong, very easy to use, and it can technically go through both leather armor and plate armor because it's a blunt weapon. So in that way it's good, and it has great handling because it's so small, and for some ungodly reason it's insanely good at blocking. Maybe because the hammerhead has makes it go a little bit out, so it's kind of like a hilt, a reverse hilt or something like that. Tried giving this guy his weapon back, but he did not want to pick it up, so I smacked the shit out of him. Yeah. And because it's so weightless, I would say, you can just like flick your wrist and then that's good enough. And it's unimaginably, I can't say that word, but it's good. But if it's just very short, and that's the only thing that can bring it down, in my opinion. Otherwise, definitely one of the best things that there are in Tier 0. And for that, it's going in definitely not B tier, but A tier, S tier. Insane damage, can technically help you through the whole game. That's an overstatement, but it can hurt people with leather and plate armor. It's very handy. The handling is great. It's going in the S tier. I don't care. I don't use it much myself, but it's definitely good when I do use it. I think it costs like 45 coins, perhaps, in the Baron's store, so it's not too expensive or anything. I mean, it's a Tier 0 weapon anyway, but it's pretty good. So I would say you can't say that it's better than the Warbrand, because the Warbrand only costs 30 more, and it's so much more versatile, I will call it. But the versatility of the Blacksmith hammer is also, if you could like call it high on the versatility meter, then yeah, because you can kill people with nothing, with leather and with plate. So it's going in the S tier. The last weapon of this tier, it's the Mallet. I think a Mallet is a lot shorter if you compare it to like what you would see a Mallet as now, but the thing still stands. It's very fair in fight. I would say it's not better than the Blacksmith hammer, and it's definitely, the problem with it is that it's only the head that does the most damage compared to later maces where you have like a bigger area that you can hit people with. It's okay at blocking for sure, because of the length and it's wood. I don't know why it's almost like it's easier to block with wood than if you have like a long blade. I don't really know why. It might just be me. But it's good at blocking, and it's okay in fighting, but not better than Blacksmith axe. There's not much to say about it, other than it's just like a longer non-metal version of a Blacksmith hammer that is just more difficult to use, so which actually ends up making it kind of worse. It does end up making it worse. So where am I gonna put it on the tier list? Worse than the Blacksmith hammer. Definitely worse than the Beheading Sword and Seax. So should that be the only B tier? Is it better than the knife? Yeah, okay, it's going in the B tier. I think that's that. So that was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are more. There are more also that you can only find when you're in the dungeons, or dungeons. There's a rake or something, and there's a hoe. There's something else, I think, but there's another one that you can only get in Sandbox, which is a sickle, and I'm not gonna review those because they're not easily accessible. depending on how you look at it, but most of them are just like generally worse than the tier 0 weapons, because they're mostly wood and very large, other than the sickle, but you can't get that one anyways, other than if you're in sandbox. So that's this tier list done, and with that I'm gonna say this was definitely more simple because there's not that many weapons to choose from in this tier, but tier 0 is very simple, but it definitely has some weapons that you could use later on. And I'm gonna hopefully, make the rest of the tiers. I'm not gonna do the modded weapons that I have installed, because that's gonna take too long, and I'm not very fast at making videos, if you couldn't tell. So I'm gonna say that's that for this video, and thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful, and maybe even learned a little bit about the weapons, like maybe some techniques, even though I didn't really give any. I don't know why I said that, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.